6:02. I'm going to call the meeting to order at 6:02, and first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our next agenda item is introductions. Why don't we start at the top of the room? Elaine, if you want to start with some introductions.
Sure. Elaine Nestor, Director from Highgate.
Don Collins, Director from Swanton.
Peter Magnet, your friendly director from Franklin.
Kira Bouchard from Franklin.
Joanne Johnston from Franklin.
Rennick Darnell Martin, Chair.
Megan Conley, Swanton.
Tony Moulton, Director of Human Resources.
Lauren Callister, Director of Finance and Operations.
Julie Redenbaugh, Superintendent.
Derek Garso, Director of Technology.
Okay.
We also have Tracy online
Yeah,
from Highgate.
And we have a guest.
We have two guests.
Okay, next item we have correspondence, visitors, and public comment. I see we have a few people online. Jay, how are you doing? Would anybody like to start off and speak at this time? Okay. Next item we have agenda review. Julie, do you have anything to?
I don't have any additions or changes.
Okay. We have next approval of the minutes.
July 16th.
Okay, I did see the date.
I
was
didn't
like,
get the date, I apologize.
July 16th. Can I first get a motion to approve the minutes from July 16th?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion on the minutes from July 16th? All right, I see none. All in favor of approving the minutes from July 16th, please say aye.
Aye.
Tracy?
Aye.
Aye, perfect. All right, 8-0. Okay, moving on. So for discussion items, first agenda item we have the school district retasking task force updates and discussion. So this is here. So actually, this is our second, but sort of like our first full board meeting since H454 passed. There's since been some developments in terms of what the plans are for redistricting that has come out. Julie, you want to start us off with sort of an update on that?
Well, I was trying to remember where I left you last time.
We just kind of started at the beginning.
The school district redistricting task force, I don't think you can put the word district in there enough times. It's a little long of a title. Was created, was supposed to meet before August 1st. They did meet on August 1st. There are 11 members of that. I think I have shared with the board who those folks are. The governor appointed one, and then we had different, the legislatures each had equal picks, and really trying to have folks from a variety of backgrounds and experiences, and retired business office official, retired superintendents, etc. as part of that. They have a former Vermont School Board Association, that's not what I'm trying to say, a former Vermont State Board of Education member on the task force. They did meet on August 1st. It was really sort of an organizational meeting. They're going to be meeting, let's see, the next meeting is August 19th. Their charge, as you know, is to create at least 3 maps, with at least one of those having a supervisory unions as options with districts. Between 10 and 20 approximately is the thought, though I don't believe that's in legislation. And they have they have a mandate in the regulation, which is, I'm not sure why they landed on 4,000 to 8,000 students, but they sort of shot for in the middle, I think, because people have been talking about 2,000 students or 10,000 students. But they've got this sort of range of districts and SU size that they're looking at. There will be forums for public comment throughout. There's a link on the Agency of Ed for ways that you can participate in a meeting or look at the minutes, et cetera, when they are finished. That's really all I have, unless there are some specific questions. They are definitely looking at multiple issues besides student size, right? They're looking at grand lists, they're looking at geography, they're looking at models of education that are happening, where there are choice areas, where there are single districts. Hopefully they'll be looking at tech center regions, that's important to us. So there are many factors that they will be weighing. And then the legislature they'll be reporting to the legislature. I think the report is due in December. And then the legislature will pick one, not pick one, create one of their own. They will do something or tweak it, or who knows what the legislature will do in the end. But hopefully they don't create a task force and then ignore them. But Vermont has a history of doing just that. So we shall see and be watching closely what they propose and giving input where appropriate.
There's going to be 2 public meetings, right? Is that what I saw,
Yes.
that they would have 2 opportunities? Okay. And we don't know when those are, though.
No, I have the schedule here, and most of them are location to be confirmed, and they don't reference specific public comment forum days. They're not
How
yet
many
scheduled.
districts did you say?
Sorry.
How many districts did you say? Did you say as many as 20?
Oh, I mean, they're talking of anywhere between 10, 20.
Really?
It could be more than that.
Okay.
That's not in the legislation. That's just sort of what's being thrown around. I don't think we'll see the 5.
Well, exactly. They've gone from 5 to, to
20.
And there's 112 now? Is that?
I'm sorry.
There's 112 currently?
You're gonna.
It's fine.
Depends on whether yes. Look it up.
Thank you, Laura.
Used to be 200 and something. I think we're down into the into the mid hundreds individual districts,
Right.
but not counting SUs.
Right.
Maybe it's 126, something like that.
52 supervisory and 119 school districts.
119 in between.
Is there any questions, discussion on that, from the board's understanding of sort of what's happening, where it stands? Go ahead.
So I know that, of course, the task force will be bringing people in for testimony and hearings like they normally do, and that we have a minimum of 2 opportunities to discuss or share our hopes for this. So I'm wondering if it makes sense for us as a board to discuss what we want this to look like, if we have any say. There is nothing that says that we do, but if we have the opportunity to represent our district and our students, I think we should, as a board, be in agreement with what that looks like. So I'd like to have a discussion.
I second that idea.
Okay, so we don't really know much other than they're looking to increase size for gained efficiencies. And we know that basically it's an SU option or a school district option. So I think it would be important to understand the difference between school districts versus SUs and what we may stand to gain or lose in both of those.
Do you mind if I let Margaret?
Yeah.
Margaret, I see you have your hand up. Would you like to talk at this point as we kind of enter this phase of the conversation?
She's muted.
You're muted.
You're muted. Still muted.
Thank you very much. What was just presented by Megan, I believe, is exactly what you should do. I came tonight not to tell you what to do, but to give you some information. And there's information from other people you may want to ask before you make the decision. But I'd like to give you information that the Rural School Community Alliance is sharing with members statewide. As you know, we have about 100 towns that
Introduce
members of the lodge, like Brattleboro.
Sorry, Margaret, just real quick, can you just introduce yourself?
Yes, so
Thank
I'm Margaret McLean. I'm a steering committee member from the Rural School Community Alliance.
Thank you.
We represent about 100 towns. Many of them are large, many of them are small. They're all over Vermont. And many of them are clear about what they want, others aren't. They need more information. And that's why I'm zooming in to give you some. And then I'm leaving so that you can talk about it. And also to make a similar presentation to the Twinfield Board at their retreat tonight. So I tend to be brief, answer any questions, and then scoot off to the Twinfield Board meeting. Act 73 says one thing very clearly. It says in the legislation, support local elementary schools, central middle schools, and regional high schools. Unfortunately for you, you are already structured that way. You are not structured in different ways that may require changes so that you become local elementary, regional middle, central middle, and regional high schools. That's already how you are. You've been working together as an SD for a number of years. You have the underpinning of strong articles of agreement, which I think have created a sense of trust and collaboration amongst you. You've been achieving great things as a district. You've been spending ESSA money wisely. You've been seeing rising student performance at your high school. So lots of good news in your district. And your structure is the way the intended outcome of Act 73 Vermont would look, with local elementary, central middle, and regional high schools. So Megan was right in that the legislature debated having just SDs and having SUs. It changed as the legislation evolved, and the final legislation has SUs and SDs. They can create up to 3 maps. They're required to create 1 map, and 1 map will have SUs and SDs. So at this point, in messaging to this task force your hopes for what they do, the decision point is around an SU or an SD. At this time, in terms of the SD, there's certain things which aren't clear. When you became an SD as a result of Act 46, you were forced into that structure. But you did get to create your own articles of agreement, and you're set up. I'm not exactly sure how many students, but under 2,000, I think, just.
Yep.
These SDs will be for 4,000 to 8,000 students. We don't expect them to have exemptions for smaller size, although I'm sure they could discuss that. And currently, the SDs would require all current districts. So if you were to be in a larger SD, all current districts would be dissolved. So your board would be dissolved and you would be placed in a larger group of 4,000 to 8,000 students with contiguous neighbors in any direction, but obviously it can't be moved. So the other thing that's unclear at this time is how big the school board would be for this district. The governor's plan had 5 school board members for the large district. Act 73 doesn't specify a number, and their voting will be in wards. So a ward task force is being established. That will start in September or early October. And it will establish the number of school board members for this imaginary SD of 4,000 to 8,000 students, and how many school board members there would be. And based on population, the wards for voting would be created. The wards will not necessarily be by town. It may contain all one town and part of another. It would be population based. So it's a little unknown at this point in time what those wards would be and what the board, the constituents of the board would be. The third thing that's unknown at this time is you would be given an operational chart. You wouldn't be crafting articles of agreement between this new district. An operational charter would be issued, which would have the terms of how you operate. At this time, there isn't a draft of that operational charter, so it's unknown what that's going to say. So it's a little bit different from what you have now as an SD, and a lot of it has yet to be figured out and will become clearer. But while that clarity is getting there, we have this redistricting task force that's started. And this redistricting task force is going to place everyone in an SU or in an SD. And while those things are being clarified, they may even take longer than the task force term to be finalized. Okay. The alternative is an SU. In an SU, the group of 4,000 to 8,000 would be the same, but it would be made up of you and your neighbors, and your SD wouldn't be a supervisory district, it would be one school district within an SU. Like I said, you have an ideal structure in that you have one board and you operate the way the law is intended. Your neighbors may not be, depending on who your neighbors are, who you work with. The whole state will have to be redistricted. You can't go north, so you're going to need to look east, west, and south to see potential neighbors. And you can't really leave anyone out because everyone is going to be in a new district that's either an SD or an SU, and that's contiguous. If you move into an SU, you would keep your board, you would keep your articles of agreement, and you would work with your neighbors in an SU board, and they would work as the boards are that they have to make change. They may need to make change on how many boards they have. They may currently have 2 or 3. They may go down to 1. They may have that work to do, work you did when Act 46 happened. they may need to do now. They also may need to do structural changes because they may not operate as local elementary, central, middle, and regional high schools right now. So they may have changes to do with that only. But they can do that within their board without impacting your progress as one board within a union. The joy of a union is that the freedom and unity that a union provides. You as a individual district in a union chart your own course forward, but together you collaborate to achieve efficiencies, to get that sense of scale and effectiveness in scale that the law is required. That's why they've chosen this scale of 4,000 to 8,000. And they've left this option of which way to move forward in a way in those groups. At any point in time, you can, as a supervisory union, come together and say, we're all on the same page now as districts. Maybe we should consider becoming an SD, one board. You can do that at any time in the future. Might be 5 years from now, might be 7, might never happen. But an SU can evolve over time. An SU is more a immediate structure, like what happened to you through Act 46. 1 minute you were 3 boards, the next minute you were 1. And an SU is more of an evolution to be working together collaboratively. I see for you the opportunity to continue your great progress as an SD if you remain in an SU. And I see your choice or decision around being in an SD as being unclear at this time because so many of the specifics of an SD, this kind of SD, have yet to be decided. You haven't seen the charter. You don't know how many board members. You don't know what boards would look like. You don't know who you'd be partnered with. The Alliance has asked districts to discuss this, like you. It's asked districts to decide, do you want to be in an SU moving forward? Do you want to be in an SD? And many of them are like you. They're already in an SD. And they remember what it was like being in an SU because they were one, not in 2 distant in the past, not in 2 distant past. So they know how that is. But these new larger SUs may not be like the old SUs. It's a structure that will evolve. We've been promoting BOCES, Boards of Cooperative Ed, for certain services. So a superintendent would have a manageable number of boards over time, and certain services that SDs and SUs currently do would be moved to a BOCES level and off the local plate, so to speak. Things like extraordinary special ed costs that you don't need all the time, but you may need occasionally. Things like certain professional development offerings, trainings, that kind of thing that currently we might set up that could be done regionally or offered regionally. We see it as feasible for the BOCES legislation was passed in 24, and we see 2 BOCES already starting around the state as options to do that. So you might see this next step as a loss, in that you will be in a much larger group, but how you navigate that larger group has these 2 different approaches. You can navigate it by staying the way you are and moving together over time, or you can navigate it by pulling the plug, being dissolved, and jumping into it. And that's kind of where we're at. Unfortunately, we don't have all the details of an SD now. It'd be great if we had those so people could make a 50-50 decision, but we don't. And we also know that you can make a request to this task force and you may not get your wish. I know the task force is asking for public engagement and wants to know what places want, but they have a complex map to create. They have 8 meetings to create it, and they have to include the whole state. So they'll be juggling things around. They will certainly take into consideration, I'm sure, they said at the first meeting that they want to know what people think. And if you pass a motion and speak with one voice, as Megan suggested, so you have clarity about what you want, I'm sure that will be given consideration. We have suggested as an alliance that you also, if when you make a decision as a board, you inform your public. In fact, you could even hold a public hearing before you make a decision and get public feedback. Provide some fact sheets about the different choices and get input before you make a decision. Some districts are planning on that. Time is a little bit sensitive because they are in their second meeting next week. I would think it would be beneficial to communicate with the task force by the end of September, if not the middle of September if possible. But you can give yourself that little window to sort through this more and hear more input from folks before you vote as a board on where you would like to go and submit that to the task force. That's basically, I think I've covered everything. We've been very involved as the legislation evolved, and we were asked to recommend appointments to the task force, 2 appointments on the task force of people that the Rural School Community Alliance recommended. They're working hard with everybody else on that task force. Their intention is to try and do the right thing, but their time is very tight and their task is very large. So any input you send will be appreciated. Thank you. Do you have any questions for me? And happy to answer them.
Does anyone have any questions for Margaret at this time?
Not for Margaret.
Go ahead.
Curette?
Do it.
Well, my question is, so if we say we'd like to be an SU and maybe collaborate with a neighboring school district or supervisory union, and say they were willing to come with us and we're gonna have 4,000 students, that's not a done deal. That's just what we approach them and tell them this is what we would like, but it doesn't mean that's what will happen. Is that what I'm understanding?
That's correct. However, if you approach your neighbors, such as Grand Isle and Franklin Northeast, and say you'd like to work together in an SU and you'd be just about 4,000 or maybe slightly more, and you're all in agreement with that, and you're all telling the task force that, I'm sure it will receive consideration.
But there's no actual, there's nothing written or anything that has come out that indicates that would be the case. So,
Right.
so
An
no, we don't know,
expectation
it is
that
not
they
a done deal.
will, do what you want. But there has been communication that they want to know what people want, and they want to engage the public.
Don?
Margaret, I know what we're talking about with the task force, but the part that concerns me and I'm hearing nothing about, and maybe you don't have any information either, but this whole ward concept, is that through the Secretary of State? Is she chairing the committee or someone chairing the committee? Because the concept of a ward that might take part in certain towns is under.
Yes, it'll be population-based, not town-based, Dawn, and so we don't know what it will look like. I will send you tomorrow, I will send you the section from Act 73 that details what the task force looks like. It's around page 20 or so in the bill, and I'll cut and paste it for you, and email it to you. It has set members and a set start date, and it's supposed to start its work based on preliminary districts that the task force will tell it about.
So it already has its members then? It already has its members?
It doesn't, it has a list of people who will be appointed to it. It hasn't convened yet.
Okay.
It's the end of September or by October 1st, I believe. But I'll get you that in the segment from the law so that you can read it.
And it would seem to me that that's going to be a critical piece.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And just so you know, you do have a complete copy of Act 73 in the drive, and I'm happy to.
Couldn't find something, maybe, and it's gonna, but it seemed to be vague.
Yes, it doesn't have, just as now we know who the members are in the redistricting task force, we don't yet for the ward. We do know that they will be involving certain parties of state government, et cetera. But I'll be happy to find that for you all.
Thank you.
Margaret, I just want to say thank you for sharing that information. And so you are the head of the steering committee or part of the steering committee for the Rural Alliance?
No, I'm not a chair of the steering committee, I'm a member. So we have a member steering committee. The chair is Cheryl Charles from the Westminster community, from the Westminster School Board, and she's also the chair of the Wyndham Northeast Supervisory Union Board. And I do know that as of today, 34 towns, either as SUs, they're currently SUs or SDs like you, have had meetings in August and voted and are writing, asking the task force to be placed into supervisory meetings.
And so just so I'm clear, the goal of the Alliance is to promote supervisory unions throughout some of these towns, predominantly.
No, we're not here to tell you what to do. The goal of the Alliance is to give you information from our perspective. We do feel that in rural, low population dense communities, supervisory unions are more effective than supervisory districts. And we have yet to see convincing research from national research that says that supervisory districts will be either more cost effective or more successful in providing opportunities to rural regions. So when we remain unconvinced that scale will produce cost savings and improve performance in rural areas that are not densely populated. So we do think that supervisory unions are a better match there. We're not debating the difference between SUs and STs in particular because we feel like the law contains both. There's a rationale for both. And maybe one is better suited to densely populated regions than the other. And that each district needs to make up its own mind. But we do want to present a rural perspective to members like you.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time to share with us. Very insightful. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Margaret. So I gotta say, like, they say no, it's not their stance to promote SUs, but this entire position statement is about SUs being superior to school districts. So I take issue with that statement because I feel like this is a clear indication to the opposite. And that's where my concerns come in. I do not think a supervisory union is the way to go. Throughout this position statement, there's a lot of statements about cost control and SUs being more efficient, and that's just not the case with MVSD. We were an SU. We were forced to merge, and I'd like to say that the Rural Alliance was a very vocal opponent against Act 46 and us merging, and we have successfully merged. We, as Margaret stated, our performance is increasing. We have become incredibly efficient. We have cut down on spending, and now we're being pointed to as, oh, this is what it should be like. So I just feel like there's some, I don't know, some hypocrisy there, and also the fact that how can we continue what we're doing, this good work that we have done, that this district has done over the past 10 years, if we pivot to go backward to a structure that was mirrored in red tape, and we guarantee that we lose our central office. We won't have Julie, we won't have Laura, we won't have Bonnie. We're signing up to say, yeah, we're good with that. And we would lose Kosha, we would lose Tanya, all of these people who they are the reason, a huge reason, why we are where we are today. So I do not believe that an SU is right for this district. It is right for some areas. Ours is not it. Franklin is our smallest. Even with that, we're still at a place where we're, I believe, meeting the class minimum sizes.
All of them.
Yeah, for all of our schools. So I understand that there's just so many unknowns, and with so many unknowns, why in the world would we advocate to go to a system that is not, it doesn't give us what we need to continue this momentum. We're also going to be what, if this was we move forward with what they're proposing, going out with Grand Isle, and what, Franklin Northeast,
Yeah.
we would be what, one of six school boards, and then there'd be a supervisory board. There's no clear vision, there's no clear mission. There's 6 schools with all of their different goals, and then there's an SU with their goals.
And there are just
Yeah.
we do actually have Rich on the line listening. He is the chair, I believe, for Grand Isle.
Yeah.
The school board chair. So
South Hero.
South Hero. Just wanted to bring that to attention.
Okay.
Carry on.
No, I mean that's really it. I just going through this statement. I think it's a conversation we need to have, which is why I brought it up. I just don't feel like there is enough actual evidence or known details about this act for us to say, yep, we support moving into an SU, and we're going to actively seek out partners for that. And then associated with that which is 7B, the Rural School Alliance, when it is.
Before we leave that, before we go to the next agenda item, Megan, would you clarify, you said something about Laura and Bonnie and Julie.
Yep.
You say we will lose them?
We would lose there would be one SU central office. They would have a single curriculum instructor. There would be a single superintendent, business office. So,
Right.
yeah, we wouldn't have our central office as it currently stands.
Does everyone understand the structural
right.
difference between?
I do, but I guess I'm not
Excuse
understanding.
me, I didn't have the floor. No,
Okay,
this is
sorry.
not, just want clarity, I don't want to
Sure.
be obnoxious. But I can't quite follow your reasoning, because are you saying that Laura wouldn't go or would go to the SD? I mean, they're gonna have a business manager, an assistant business manager. I'm
Right.
trying to just follow, and I'm not against what you're saying, I just don't understand.
So if we were with an SU, right, like currently,
You know,
we as a school district have our central office. We have one budget for all of our schools. We have the flexibility to shift money as revenue comes in. we have our own curriculum director,
Right.
but that would be eliminated to a single
Mhm.
central office.
Right.
So there will be a Laura, will it be Laura? I don't know.
No, but
Will it
taking-
be
taking the
Julie? I don't
people
know, there
out
will
of
be
it,
one superintendent for 6 schools,
There would be then
but 6 districts.
one budget, you have one budget, right?
Yeah.
In an SD, we'd have one budget. We could be 14 towns.
Yeah.
It'd be one budget.
Yeah.
We would have input. Would we have enough votes to really make a difference? See, I'm just trying to look at the pluses and minuses.
Yeah, for sure.
And it seems to me if we wanna control our budget, and I'm not arguing for one or the other right now, but if we wanna control our budget with our people, the SD doesn't allow us to do that.
But it does allow us to, like, if we do it
No,
through an
because
SU,
this SD.
yes, has one for the entire school district.
Right,
Let's
so
let's
the
take
school
Franklin
district,
County
let's
all
just-
together.
Let's just say that you have, like, the school district's no longer gonna be just us,
Right.
right? So let's pretend, let's make up, let's say it includes Franklin Northeast, Franklin Central, or Maple Run, I mean, let's say it includes them.
Mhm.
So you have all of us all together. Now we're a mega school district. Why would that guarantee us to have Julie and Laura and Bonnie?
It doesn't guarantee it.
Neither one guarantees that.
I think the SU guarantees we won't. I think it's
I
more
don't
likely that we
agree with you. Neither one guarantees that.
Right. No,
I
I
mean,
know
they're
that.
gonna hire-
I don't mean to say like, yes, we would keep.
Yeah.
I just know that is an instant, like,
Yeah. So
central office gone,
so-
and we
so
would,
the school district that you like right now, which is the same one I like,
Yeah.
which is this one,
is not going
and-
to exist.
is not going to exist unless if we do, I'm just giving you
Yeah.
the other argument.
Yeah.
Unless if we do enter a supervisory union, then we do get to keep this school district the way we like it, just
But
us.
not.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't. No,
So,
we don't.
Just gonna,
I'd like to finish
Because
my
we're our
thought.
school, because we're our school district, and then they would have their school district.
We would have our school district, but we wouldn't have control over the curriculum. We wouldn't have control over a lot of the budgetary items, because those go up to the SU budget, not the school district budget. So we would lose control of the budget.
Well,
Not all of it,
If I
but part of
recall,
it.
the school district has its own budget.
Yes, we
The
do.
supervisory union has its own budget.
Yes.
So
But
we would
it,
still
the
have our
SU
own
budget, yes, but it not in the capacity that we have it now. We would not have the same amount of
You wouldn't have it
control.
if you had this big mega school district, we wouldn't have that capacity either.
But
So-
a school district has a single mission, vision. It's one board for all of the schools.
Yeah.
That is one cohesive unit. A
Yeah.
supervisory union has, in this, hypothetical, we're gonna go with Grand Isle and whatnot, 6 different units that have, MVSD has its own vision and goals. This school district has its own vision and goals. And then we've got the SU up here who's trying to balance the vision and goals of all of these different things. I just think overall, we lose much more control in an SU.
I think we
So,
lose just about all control
one
as
thing-
an SD.
one thing,
Frankly.
as we navigate this conversation, I would ask that if you have the floor, you speak, and then we wait till the other person is finished before we go on, so we can get through. Because we have a lot of good opinions here, so I would ask that of the board members. Jay, I will call on you momentarily. Along this conversation, I would like the business director, could you just, from a financial perspective, just explain the difference between a supervisory union and how that budget would flow and how that would work in a school district, so that we as board members understand.
In a school district, it's one. Everything is all together just like we have now. In a supervisory union, yes, you have portions of the budget that are locally controlled, but a majority of the larger items like special ed, transportation, administration, central office, all of those quite significant costs would be at the supervisory union, and then they're assessed out to the other boards. So then those assessments become part of the budget, but you basically don't have control over them. You have control over the other pieces, and that would be voted on. But the larger
But
pieces.
not in the foundation for it.
And
Let's not
depends,
forget
well,
that.
yes, the you know, there's a lot of things we don't know, but
Right.
as it stands right now, what I know of supervisory union, that's how it would function. If there was a foundation formula, yes, that would change.
Right.
With the assessment, go ahead.
I'm gonna call on Jay now.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Megan, I understand your concern. We both served in the supervisory union for the past, we know that. But there's language in the statutes, in the early language, in the later language, that talks about what would happen if we were to have five districts. And they're even in there saying that it's understandable that the structure or the positions that are necessary to meet the needs of the district could actually increase to as many as 200 in a single supervisory union configuration. And so it's not quite correct to expect that if you have the single SU, you're going to end up with a fraction of what you've got now. Because the SU, the members of that SU, as you recall, they appoint members to serve on the SU board. So it's not like you're losing control, because you have your own representatives serving on that board. And the thing is that if you go to a larger district, you may end up, that board may end up deciding that, well, we may need 2 superintendents, or 2 business managers, or we may need 2 directors of special education, and so on. So it's going to be a decision made by you guys' participation through your representatives on the supervisory board. So it's not quite accurate to say that we're going to lose the central office. That's actually quite the opposite. I don't see where I see there's a mechanism that you can create a central office on the SU that meets the needs of all the member districts. Why else would you not want to do that? So I don't think it's quite a situation where if we go as an SU, we automatically lose our central office. I think that's what's happening. No, let's just ask one. I didn't want to say anything earlier about public comment, but I have a clear statement.
Yes.
I didn't want to interrupt Margaret because I thought she had to go to the.
Would you like to take that now?
Okay, it's up to you.
Yes, go ahead.
Heard a written statement. It's short. But it goes along with everything. Going on 10 years now, the state of Vermont forced the Frank Northwest into a unionized community school, a merged government structure, as they call it. And it was due largely because of our pre-existing Missisquoi Valley School. A large number of our community members, parents, staff, school board members spent countless hours in public forums, study committees, and testified before the legislative committees. I'm sure a lot of people, many people will remember those first 10 years. We spent an enormous amount. So the Franklin Northwest Supervisory Union community worked hard to make decisions uniquely tailored to meet the needs of our students, while deciding to incorporate parts of Act 46 at that time that could be used to improve the quantity and quality of educational opportunities. We spent a great deal of time creating specific articles of agreement which were necessary to support these decisions on behalf of our students. During the transition to the new Missisquoi Valley School District, 9 new board members were elected, and these articles of agreement were largely approved by the legal voters. 10 years later, the Missisquoi Valley District is finally achieving many of the improvements that the Missisquoi Valley District community was hoping for. Student proficiency has increased to levels we haven't seen in several years in our struggling schools. That's where funds were not used for preparing MU is beginning to achieve Act 46:5, which is to provide education services delivered at a cost that parents, employers, and taxpayers value. The Missisquoi Valley School District has come a long way in the last 10 years, so it's understandable that we need to avoid making risky decisions which have the potential to reverse the gains we have achieved. As we face new challenges brought to us by H. 454 Act 73, if we want to continue the progress we've achieved, we must choose an option which allows us to keep what is obviously working for our students in the MVSD. In my opinion, I'd rather not surrender what we know is working in exchange for a plan that's based upon an incomplete piece of legislation. Let's choose an option which allows us to keep our elected school board members and our hard-earned margins of agreement. Now, I know I'm just one member of the MVSD community, so I would ask the board to please seek the input of the larger MVSD community by conducting public forums as soon as possible, so we can move forward together in confidence. Thank you.
Correct.
Yeah, well, I just kind of wanted to, I'm not arguing for a supervisory unit, but I really want to make sure that the facts are correct. And I'm hearing that there's just an assessment out and we have no say in it. But that part is not true. Supervisory union board develops a budget for basically this administration and central office. But who makes up the supervisory union board are representatives from the school districts. So those individuals help put together this budget, and then once they approve that budget, yes, it gets assessed out, but it's done by representation, not here's your amount of money and you have no say. You had a say because your representatives are on that supervisory union board. So I want to make sure that that gets corrected. And the other piece is that I hear you. I think I like the way that we are set up right now. I wish we could keep it because I think we're successful. We're doing well. We've done some remarkable things, and I do think I give a lot of credit to. I think we have a wonderful central office, and I give a lot of credit to them. We've been supportive of them, so I want to give us a little credit too. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's been an effort that we've all done together. But my worry is if we enter into, and we don't know who it's going to be, right? Because we're going to get assigned to the school district, and we could be a part of a huge school district that we may have very little representation. Maybe, we don't know, there's talk of five people. There could be more. But if it's 5 people, let's face it, we're not going to get very much say into our vision and who we're going to hire as our superintendent, who we're going to hire as our business manager, human services, curriculum coordinator, so on and so forth. Because if there's 5 or 6, we'll have very little say. There may be just one person that represents all of us. So I don't think that's a guarantee just because we have a school district that we're going to get the people we want on it, because we may not. And so there's that piece. I realize the same thing with the supervisory union, but I'm just saying there's no guarantees on either one, and either whether it's a school district or supervisory union, we may not get the people we want to serve us. It's going to come down to a vote possibly as to who they want to become the superintendent, who they want to be the business manager, and we may lose the vote. I mean, we just don't know, right? So I don't want to have people have the perception that if we stay a school district, we're going to have these marvelous people joining us, because there's no guarantee. Because they have their own people that maybe they think are marvelous too. I think ours are more marvelous, but it is what it is, right? But we'd have to be convincing. But if there's only 1 or 2 of us that will serve on that board, who's to know that we will win out? So what I liked about, and I'm not saying I want this, but what I liked about the supervisors, I liked the fact that we kept our school district and our board together and as a school district, and that we could work all together as to continue that as we go on. Yes, there'll be other school districts that are going to join us, but that's going to happen anyway. I mean, that is happening no matter what. There's going to be other school districts because we're not big enough, so somebody's going to be joining us. So whether they join us as a supervisory union or a school district, that's the part we don't, which is best. Well, I hear you that supervisory union is a little bit clunky, and sometimes it isn't always smooth. But what I'm attracted to it is I like the idea of keeping our school district and the visions we have, and that we can continue that vision, which I'm not sure we can if we have other people coming in from other schools, other towns, other supervisory unions to form that school district. So that's what I'm saying is they're both kind of I see it as no guarantees, except that I do think that the guarantee we do have as a supervisory union is that we can keep this particular group and we can keep our articles of agreement. So those are all things we can keep that we cannot keep if we go to a school district. That's all I wanted to point out. I'm not saying this is what I want or this isn't what I want. I'm just saying I worry about both, but I'm not sure that a school district is a slam dunk either.
Megan and then Dawn, and then I think what we're going to do is go around. I would like each of the other board members to weigh in on their opinion. Go ahead.
So yes, there are no guarantees with either of these. I didn't mean to imply that there would be. So I apologize if it came across that way. There are no guarantees. There are so many unknowns about this law. There are so many off-ramps to this law. And, in Jay's statement, he says, stick with what's working. What's working for us right now is a school district. I want to know, you were here when we were in SU, many of us were. Do you think we would be where we are right now with these gains if we were still in SU?
I don't think so, no. But that doesn't mean that that's the best way to go, because this is going to be a mega SD.
Well, it's not necessarily mega. We're already at 2,000 students. They're saying as appropriate, as close as you can get to 4,000. There's so much wiggle room. And also, is there something out that I have not seen? Who is to say that we can't go to neighbors and say, are you interested in becoming a larger district? Why is the conversation only about approaching for SUs? Is that something that's out there?
I'll jump in real quick. I will say that I did have Rich reach out from South Hero. And he also put on the email Bob from Grand Isle to possibly have a conversation whether or not we, as a board, as we look at potential pathways, if that was something we'd like to do. There is nothing stopping us from reaching out to Maple Run and Franklin Northwest and talking about districts. The email that the VSBA sent out, it has a tool on there. I don't know if everybody got an opportunity to look at it. If you were to take Franklin County, which would be ourselves, Maple Run, I believe Franklin
Northeast and Franklin West.
Franklin West, we would very much hit right between that 4,000 to 8,000 range as a district. There's nothing stopping us from having those communications with those neighboring districts. I think for our purposes tonight, it would be, I believe, beneficial if the board had some consensus on what we would like to envision, keeping in mind we may not control any of it. And there's unknowns on both sides in terms of which direction we would go. And the legislator ultimately, as we saw last year, may take everything and put it in the shredder, and it might just stay the same. So what I would ask is, I would like, Don, you're next, but then I would like the other board members to weigh in on your feelings about whether we don't have a motion on the floor right now, so we're not voting on that tonight, but whether or not your feelings towards potentially envisioning us more as an SU or an SD, and then once we're done that, we can move on to the next agenda item. So, I had Don first, and I'll call it Jay. Don?
Let's let the board go around and do its thing. Once one board member starts, everybody's on the board should start. So, okay. What you just said was where I was going, so I guess I'd ask Julie, has anybody reached out to us, through the superintendents? Has any superintendent said we'd like to join this wonderful district up here?
No, the other superintendents in our region are not looking at this. They're not members of the RSCA, so they don't have this sort of get together and have conversations agenda. All of us like our own school districts, and have definite feelings about that. However, most of Franklin County leadership acknowledges that a district is likely going to get at the outcomes of the law better than an SU, and we know that it has nothing to do with us. It's a political decision that the legislature and school boards will make. But no, Franklin Northeast as a board has not reached out to us.
I just wanted that.
Yeah.
So Rennick, I like your idea. Whatever the vehicle is, to have contact with at least those that touch us geographically, to see what happened. I want to throw something out because of my past work in Franklin West. I don't see Franklin West as a desirable partner. And I'll go to Fairfax and Georgia and see. They flow toward Chittenden County. They're much more in tune with Milton, Colchester, that area than they are with us. But I don't think we need them, whichever way we go. I don't think we need them population-wise. Peter and I, one night, talked briefly about some numbers. I think if we did whatever we wanted to with Franklin County minus Franklin West, we'd have a pretty sizable school district.
Yeah.
And I think we have a lot in common. I don't know about you people, but I lived in Fairfax for 15 years. I seldom go to Fairfax. I pass by Georgia on the interstate. But I just know the nice people that live there. They're very nice people. They're very highly educated, want the best for their kids. They flow south. They work south. They play sports south. So, we'll do as a group what we want, but to include Franklin West to me makes absolutely no sense at all. I think and the last thing on this topic, I would ask that you as a chair working with Julie, schedule a special meeting where we can just talk about this within the next few weeks. Because with everything else that we're going to have happen with the opening of school, I just don't think we can do service to this issue. So, and I don't think anyone else will die if we have one extra meeting.
No. So, as I mentioned, we do not have a motion right now, whether or not we as a board want to go one way or the other. We have heard comments about maybe getting feedback from the community, which I think would be a good idea ahead of a vote on something like that. So that can be put down for a future task, Julie, to get some community feedback on the idea. And then, yes, we can do something like that. Elaine, are your thoughts on this?
I haven't decided one way or the other. There's been a lot of good points brought forth. I mean, I think at the end of the day, we would love to keep it the way things are. We can't. My goal is to continue to have the good outcomes that we've had, no matter which way we fly. Whatever's going to continue to give us the continued success we've had with our students, that's the way we should be driving. I think local control, though, is also important. I fear we have these wards and we have one person representing the 3 towns. Are we going to necessarily be representing our neighbors? Right? Maybe yes, maybe no. That's up question out there. I know nobody has the answer to, but that is one of the things I think is important to our community, the people we are representing. Be careful of. I do have a question for you, Julie. You just mentioned that it has been known that school districts have better outcomes than supervisory unions. Can you expand on that? Or I thought that's what you said.
No, I think it depends on the school district.
Yeah.
I know school districts that act like supervisory unions. They have no systems. They have no unified curriculum. I just know that what we have been able to do, we've been able to do as a district, we could not have done as an SU. So it depends on your board and its vision and its cohesion and representing the community. And, I have lots of concerns about all of it, right, as you all do. My fear is, you're right, we would lose control no matter what. But I have a number of concerns about an SU as not moving us as a state, right? It protects a lot of status quo, which I get because communities are nervous. I guess I'm concerned about, I don't know whether the task force is going to do more than take public comment. I don't know whether, one of the things I would worry about, I like the idea always of getting input on things that we have a decision about, but I wouldn't want to give a community the illusion that they're deciding a thing. That happened to us in Act 46,
Right.
and it didn't go well. So people voted that they didn't want to merge, but it wasn't our decision. So I worry about that. So I think we would have to be very careful about that. But no, I didn't. If I said that, I misspoke. Our district, yes, was much more efficient because of our unified district and what everybody else has said here tonight.
And I do also agree with Don's statement. Two of my kids went to school in this district. My stepdaughter went to school in Fairfax. I agree with Don's statement. Franklin West is very Chittenden County based. Those kids go to Essex Tech.
Yes.
I don't think they would align with us as well as Franklin Northeast would. I'm not even sure if Maple Run would be a good alignment with us, in my opinion, but I think that's just my 2 cents.
Can I get one comment? Because that was my question.
Hey,
Now
you're stretching it, Doug.
My comment,
Breaking your own rules here.
my comment is, I hope this is confusing and complex enough that it blows up and the legislature passes it.
Just because Jay's been holding
I
his
want to be on
hand,
the record.
I'll let him go ahead. You got something to say, and then
2 points that I want to make. I get it, but we've been very successful in this district after our merger. But I need to remind the board that one of the reasons why we're successful is because we crafted articles of agreement that took care of issues that we thought were important, that were needed, the articles that needed and designed in ways to support in the district. And so, without, if we don't make the correct decision, we're gonna lose those articles of agreement. All bets are off. And the other point I'd like to make, Don, which you brought up, is a good point. But I would like to point out to the Franklin West SU is contiguous with Grand Isle. And as you know, that was one of the priorities for doing mapping, that the combinations would be contiguous. So, under the circumstances, I can see a very strong possibility that Franklin West will actually go with Grand Isle in some of the combination. And one thing I do know is that the state is unlikely to leave Franklin Northeast isolated, because the only thing they've got is a mountain between them and the next available partner. But they're not going to join Franklin Northeast without Maple Run, because you would have 2 tech centers in that combination. That's not going to happen. So it's a really perplexing situation for the people that are going to maps. And I suspect that at some point in time, you know, the same thing will happen with, or happened to the Commission on Continuing Public Education, Megan Warner resigned, and Nicole Mace resigned. Chair and vice chair quit. So, I don't know, there's so many, ifs, ands, ors, or buts with this, that it's really hard to predict where it's going. At some point, I think you might be right, it's probably gonna blow up.
Thank you, Jay. All right, Peter, wanna give your opinion as I go around the room on this?
Yeah, like everything else, I don't think my opinion probably amounts to a hill of beans, but, I think it's really unfortunate. I think Jay's right, the articles of agreement that we came up with to form this district is part of what made this district so successful. Because we all respected each other and we all came in on a level playing field, and you know, we yes represent our individual towns, but we came together to support each other. And again, it really doesn't matter, they're gonna do what they want, we found that out under Act 46. My fear is one big district, as Pierrette pointed out, if they stick to only 5 members, they're gonna have more schools they're representing than they have members. So that means that there'll be schools that no one living in that town is gonna be representing. So what's gonna happen, the article agreements are gone, there's no protection for those schools. And that's probably what the state wants, to be able to close and start busing students all over the place. It's unfortunate. I think we have such a good thing. We've shown here that we can be fiscally responsible. I'd like to be able to hold that together. So that's probably why I'm leaning more towards a supervisory unit and working with other districts to make that happen. But in the end, even if we are all in agreement with that, doesn't mean that's what's gonna happen.
Anything to add, Pierrette?
I think we pretty much have together. I'm just seeing both sides, and I'm worried.
Everybody's worried.
You know, but you know, and I hear the arguments of both, and the thing is that my concerns are trying to keep this district together, and that's where I see where the supervisory union would allow us to do that. But I understand what Megan's saying is it's clunky. It isn't smooth. It doesn't, operate super well. And so I get all that. But I think we should explore. We should talk to the other districts as you suggested, and I certainly think we should get some input from the community. I think we should explore both before we make a decision.
Join?
Yeah, I guess, and that's the direction I was going into also was, I mean, we have all stated our passions for both, the good and the bad of both, but until we know who would like to come with us, or until we know who we would like to be merged with, I think it's really hard to make a decision or to vote on whether it's an SU or an SD, and then if we're merging with if we're presenting to merge with 2 other districts, and those 2 other districts were like, oh no, that is not, the way that we were leaning, and we have voted on a certain side, then it's like we're going back to square one. So I would like a little bit of the focus to be on who are we joining with.
I definitely would like to see what the community feels, but I'm leaning towards school district just because of how successful the school district has been. And even though I see the pros and cons for both, but I've seen a huge difference from us merging becoming a school district.
us, Tracy.
Tracy, are you there? Can you hear us?
Yes, I am. Here, I'm here.
You wanna just kinda weigh in real quick, while we wrap up this last, redistricting school district conversation, and your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I don't think I could say any more than everybody else has said. There's some good points being made on both sides, but I'd have to agree with like Stephanie right now. I'm leaning more towards the district with everything that's been, presented today. But there's definitely some more thought to go into it, but right now I'd be leaning more to, district.
You wanna add something else? Or
Um,
move on to the next step?
Do people not know where I'm leaning?
Kept us guessing.
I had, oh my gosh, I had something. Well, I think there's so many unknowns. And there's, to make a decision one way or another with question mark after question mark after question mark, I don't think makes sense. I'm not saying we're going to, as a board, say, yes, we're going in this direction, or no, we're going in this direction, because it's not up to us. We're going to do what we can within our lane, I guess. I do want to say that are we having a separate, like, yes, we're moving from A to B?
Yes, I was gonna do that.
Okay, then that's it for me.
Okay, so that something to add?
I just want, and it's not district or supervisory union, but what Dawn brought up, the wards.
Mm-hmm.
And again, nothing that we have control of, but I just wanted to say that really does concern me, because if we're all voted here, we're all here because we want to help the school, right? We want to make the school a better place. You start making it wards and political and having to run under a party, you get, like, in big cities and stuff, it's no longer people that are local and are concerned about their school district. It's what party are they running for, and I'm going to vote for the way my party wants to vote, and I would hate to see our schools end up like that.
Agree.
Thank you. Alright, so just from this, we're gonna have a future agenda item, probably, of having this conversation again. We'll try to get some public input from the community.
Is
about
that
their- We should,
I am concerned because of what Julie said. I would just be super cautious about the language because it did not go. I had totally forgotten it and blocked it, but it did not go well when there was input from the community on something that ultimately wasn't up to us. And I think in the end, the legislature did what they did, forced us to merge. There was a lot of contention. There was a lot of contentious conversations at school board meetings moving forward about my kids and your kids, and it took a long time to get to this. These are our kids, our students. So I am all for getting input. I am very nervous about how that is presented and how we can ensure that this isn't up to us. Like, we might want this, we might want that, and you might want this or something else, but at the end of the day,
I don't think we
that
have
is
enough information to even get input, because we're gonna be more questions
fair.
than we have answers, so
Fair.
how could we even do it?
what would we ask?
Yeah.
we'll do what we can do smartly. Okay, so the next agenda item, we did have the Rural School Community Alliance revisit with possible action.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to make a motion that we continue our membership in the Rural School Community Alliance. And I'm making that motion because I believe that gives us a membership for people who want to continue. And if there are board members who don't like all of these emails and all of the stuff that's coming out, then all they have to do is notify the alliance, and they won't be part of the correspondence. So my motion is that we continue. The word revisit says we need to look for action taken, so my motion is that we continue our membership.
So you have a motion to continue membership. Does that mean that if the motion does not pass, that we are no longer
then another motion will probably come out.
Well,
If my motion, first it has to have a second.
right.
Is there
Then
a
if it's
second
voted
for?
down, then people have to decide, whether you wanna go with it.
Well, would that mean, because usually you make a motion in the positive,
Yep,
you know, rather than say we're not doing a thing.
yeah, I'm saying.
If you're saying we continue and the motion passes, that's clear. If if the motion is we continue and it does not pass, does that not mean
You're out of it.
that it's withdrawn? That's the, I would want the board to be
that
clear.
is-
I want that to be
Yes,
That is my
that's true,
question.
but someone else could make a motion to do something else related to memberships. Not
But-
necessarily this one, but.
I just wanna make clarification on the
Right, yeah,
motion.
if the majority says they don't wanna be in it, then I think we're out of it. Majority, like before, said we're in it, then we're in it.
I just want clarification on the language of the motion
Yeah.
and what it means, because if we presently are a part of it, if we're making a motion to reaffirm that and it doesn't pass, does that therefore mean we are not? I just want that clear. Or would it be a motion to leave it and therefore if it passes, we're no longer in it, or if it does not pass,
If it fails, then we
then we stay. I just want that
I
language
guess my
clear.
question should be that, why is it on the agenda? I mean, we pass motions every meeting, and I can't remember the last time something came up a second time. So there must have been some underlying reason. And my assumption, which may be wrong, is that there are people who don't wanna be members of it. I mean, who put it on the agenda?
It was a request to have on the agenda to revisit it for that reason. Therefore, we can make a motion to affirm it or not. I just wanna make sure the language of the motion is correct, so we understand. That's all.
Reaffirm?
So, you have your motion to reaffirm it.
Mhm. It's fine.
Therefore, if that is not reaffirmed, it's a removal.
I would say so.
Is there a second?
No offense, Don, but I don't think it's a motion, it's legal, I don't know if it's legal, but it doesn't amount to anything, because if we didn't have the motion and nothing happened, we would continue on.
Right.
So I don't think it's a motion that's needed.
So is
I
there,
don't disagree with you, I'm just concerned
No.
that a motion that's on the floor,
I
which is a
think-
negative,
Yeah.
and then you vote on a negative motion, that's the whole purpose. I want to avoid a negative motion. Somebody say, I think we should withdraw from that.
Why? I'm sorry, is there like a precedent that it shouldn't be I make a motion that we remove MVSD from the list of members?
Yeah.
I just don't understand, and that could be just my ignorance, is there a reason that we wouldn't do
I don't
negative?
understand the agenda item. I mean, are we looking for discussions? It says possible actions. Are we looking for discussion with a possible motion to revisit, or what is the intent?
My intent is I want to make a motion that we know, I need the discussion point to be able to share that, the reasoning. But my motion would be that we remove MVSD from the list of members, our RSCA members.
okay, so,
I think we're going to the same place, and this is
Yeah.
the reason I made a motion is, we don't follow Robert's Rules of Order.
so I would like,
Robert's Rules of Order says if you're gonna take and have a discussion, you need a motion on the floor.
okay,
So that's why I put a motion on the floor.
okay, so
Okay.
I'm just trying to make sure we follow procedure. So right now, we have, you made a motion
Mhm.
to continue participation in the Middle School Alliance. I did not have a second, and then Megan spoke of what she would like. So, is there a second for that motion, or no?
I don't care, you can go ahead and decide, you wanna be in or out.
Well, I think a motion is going to be,
I'm just, we have a
Just
motion.
which
I
motion?
understand,
I'm
I understand, just which
We
one.
have a motion on the floor, I'm just trying to see if there's a second before we have discussion. I just wanna make sure the language of the motion and what it means is clear.
See.
So,
Well, I'm gonna second it. I think we should talk about it, so that's the way to talk about it.
And I don't know what the outcome will be, but I just wanna make sure, that we have a
Understood.
discussion
Okay,
with
so-
legal and motion, because usually here, and I don't know how we got here, but we talk about a lot of stuff and then we make a motion after we talk about it.
Okay, so-
Robert's Rules of Order says you make a motion.
there you go. So, you opened it up, you made a motion.
Yep.
There is a second.
Yep.
And the motion is, does the MVSD continue to be a member of the Rural School Alliance, Rural School Committee Alliance? Now we can have discussion.
There was a second?
Yes.
Pierrette
okay.
seconded. So now we are in discussion about whether or not we stay in it or not, and so we're clear. If that motion does not pass, we are therefore removed. Okay, discussion.
Okay, I'll jump in. So my concern with being listed as a member district is that, as outlined in their executive points, what is this, position statement, it's very clear that their goal or their preference is to push for supervisory unions. I feel like there is not enough information and there is not enough in our control at this point to warrant us being associated with an alliance who is advocating for something that we might not know, we might not want. And I think that was made clear when we went around the room and there was one, maybe two people who had a definitive like, yes, this is an SU is what I want to do. There were a lot of, I don't know, we don't have enough information, there are too many question marks. So that is my concern with being associated with it, is that our name is there and that what we are connected to what they are saying, to what they are promoting as listed members. And I don't think that we know as a board which way we're going to end up going. So that is my concern. That is why I would vote that we in the negative for that. So that is my opinion. That's all I got.
So if the Moss School Boards Association comes out in favor of one or the other, are we gonna withdraw our membership from them?
I think it's something that could be discussed, absolutely.
And are the superintendents and business managers on record favoring one or the other?
I'm sorry?
Are the business managers, VASBO, or the Vermont Superintendent's VSA on record as favoring one or the other?
No, they've been very neutral. And they've given testimony, but they haven't had a position paper in the same way, but yeah.
And one of my contacts from the legislature told me, and it made them erroneous, that the school business managers and the school superintendents were on record favoring SDs over SUs.
Oh, they may have testified to that.
Yeah, they testified.
Individuals may have.
And,
I would say individuals,
Individuals
but
may
not,
have,
Group
but-
did not testify to that.
okay, well, it was testimony, and so, yeah. Okay,
Do we have any
thank
other
you.
discussion on this?
Well, I guess I feel like, I just heard her tonight and I didn't feel like that, she was explaining both, but I didn't hear, I heard her say, it's up to you. So I don't know why that's different than VSBA saying, it's up to you.
But we're not
What I-
talking
what-
about, sorry.
Yeah, what I like about it is that they're providing us information. I've been reading it. I've been also reading VSBA. I like hearing both sides. I like knowing what's out there, knowing, I guess I'm just not seeing what the harm is. Like it gives us information and keeps us updated. I've actually kind of been, enjoyed some of the, like how she pointed out, like, you know, I'm thinking we all got an email saying, like, I understand the difference between a school district and a supervisory union, but I think a lot of people don't. And I thought she really spelled that out really well in one of her emails, and I thought that was really helpful. So there's a lot of things that I think that's being sent to us that's helpful information. I don't see it as they're telling us to be an SU. I don't see it that way. I see it as helpful information and getting information from them and getting information from VSBA, and it's not costing us any money. I mean, if the board had to donate money towards it, well, then maybe we have to talk about it. But it hasn't cost us any money, but it's provided us quite a lot of information. So I kind of like that part myself. And I really like having information from all sides. It helps me make a better decision.
Is there a reason that we couldn't, this is what I was saying when this was initially brought up. There is, to my knowledge, no reason that all of us as individual board members can't subscribe to their news list, continue to get that information. You would still get that information. My concern is having the district associated with an organization that, yes, I understand, I heard what she said, but if you read this, it is very clearly in support of SUs, which is fine, but I don't think that with a board who isn't like, yes, this is what we want to do and we want to go out and do this, we're still seeking information. I don't think it makes sense for us as a district to say we are a member, because by saying we're a member, we're saying we support this. And I know everyone keeps bringing up VSBA, but this isn't a conversation about VSBA. We can talk about that when it is time, whenever it's on the agenda. But that is my opinion. I think the information is there. I don't want anyone to think that they would be discouraged from getting that information. By any means.
For clarity, any individual can sign up for that.
Right. So that's it. I like getting the information too. I think it's just, yeah. That's it.
It costs us nothing to join. It's not like the School Board Association where it costs us money. And I don't think the state, I don't think any group is looking at us and saying, oh, they're part of that group, we're gonna put it to them. It's like, I don't see the harm, and it was nice to have her here today explaining to us. The School Board Association was not here tonight explaining anything to us. I don't see any harm, I only see benefit in continuing this relationship. That's my opinion.
Anything else to add? Okay, I think we've talked about this enough. I'm gonna, is it roll call where I go one by one? I'm gonna roll call for this. Elaine, are you, and I'm just gonna repeat the motion so we're clear. So the motion on the floor is MVSD continuing to be part of the Middle School Alliance. A yay is in support. A nay is removing from the group. So we're all tracking
Okay, yay.
to stay in the group.
Yeah.
Don,
Yeah,
Peter,
Yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yay.
nay. Your vote.
Nay.
Tracy,
Nay.
Joanne, your vote was.
Yay.
Aye.
In favor?
In favor.
The motion passes 5-4.
Point of order. What happens if one chair cannot vote unless it's a tie?
I actually,
board chair has traditionally voted in these meetings. We're not a large board.
In this case, I actually don't mind. I was going to abstain. So, regardless, motion passes. Therefore, we are done with this one.
Frederick, could you read the motion again,
The motion passed. The motion was to stay a part of the Rural School Alliance. Okay. Next agenda item is some business action, so food service update.
I just wanted to make sure that all the board members were aware that the Abbey Group has been acquired by Whitson's Culinary Group in July.
So say that again, I'm having a hard time hearing.
The Abbey Group has been acquired in July by Whitson's, I would keep saying it wrong, Whitson's Culinary Group.
Really?
Wow.
Wow.
Some of you might have seen the Vermont Digger article that came out. So I just wanted to make sure that we brought it to the board's attention. Julie and I proactively met with the group today. We met with their COO, and their senior VP, as well as Tina, who will continue to be our site manager, Tina Bushy.
And where are they from? Can you tell us a little about them?
I think they're out of Pennsylvania right now, but they basically do business in this entire part of the country.
Northeast.
Yeah, northeast.
With colleges too.
They do different, yes, yeah. Yeah, they've acquired different companies over the last 6 years apparently. One of the concerns that the Digger article brought up was that they have been backed by a private equity group. So that was one of the big reasons we wanted to meet with them, because obviously that can be concerning when you hear those words. But that it has been a 6-year relationship. They assured us that it was more just a way of a funding source for them. They did 2 years of research about which company they were going to be, work with to make sure that they weren't just going to, work to dissolve their companies and to make some money, quick buck. We talked to them, and so I feel confident in that. I think that, they've been with that group for 6 years. That's not their model, so I'm not concerned about that. We talked a lot about just continuity of our services. We talked a lot about, the fact that our programs are very, very successful. We have a lot of offerings. We want to have very high participation. MVU is one of the highest high school participations in the state. We talked about all of that. They assured us that there will be that continuity. All of our programs at the moment will be staying exactly the same. So our offerings will be staying the same, the staffing will be staying the same. Local partnerships will be, if anything, expanded. They're already working on those. They're also looking to expand their the supplies that they get that are U.S. sourced. Our pricing will stay the same at the moment. As far as administration, we will have a new contact that we're working with the finance or the administrative piece, but that transaction is already happening, and I've spoken to both parties on that, so I feel confident in that. If anything, I do believe, and this was explained to us today, that they're a larger company, they do have more resources, so I'm hoping that will be positive. They are currently going through weekly trainings with all of the Abbey staff to make sure that it's a seamless transition. Obviously, this time of year is really important. They will be transitioning to a new point of sale system or a new food and service management system in December. I explained to them that if that's not good timing for us, then we won't be transitioning in December. We have control over that, and they said that's fine. One of the big things that we also talked about again is just communication and feedback. We have parent advisory groups, we have food service advisory groups. That's why our programs are so successful. We have concerns, we bring them to the table, they address them right away. That's how it's been with the Abbey. They assured us that will be happening, and we'll make sure that happens. We also asked about, should we expect, since these right now are only possible 1-year renewals, as we know, should we expect to have to go out to bid next year if the pricing that they currently have for a fixed plate cost is way out of alignment with what they anticipate needing? And they said no. If anything, they would expect possibly for it to be less than the CPI, which is the allowable growth amount. So good news. That's good news for us. If we're happy, we can always leave. If we're not happy, of course, and go back out to bid. But that's not what they're looking for. So I think it was a great conversation today. It definitely made me feel better. But we will be continuing the conversations. Before we left today, we requested that we set up additional meetings with Dawn, who's our SFA sort of coordinator, along with me, just to talk about billing and make sure that it just comes off seamlessly. But if anyone hears any concerns in the public, I would redirect them to us. They really want to know about that ahead of time. so, as proactive as possible.
So our price structure for this year is ensuing years in place.
Yes. Yeah, we were definitely reassured about that relationship and the cost. I was also reassured, in particular by the way that they want to communicate out proactively to the community, and partner with districts to make sure that families understand what options are and get to know them as a company and get reassured. So that was helpful.
Any discussion about
You're at your hand up.
the state legislature, I think, still kept money for all meals in the legislature?
For the universal meals?
Universal.
Yes.
Yes, they did.
But that's, again, it's clunky every year though, because if our
That's what I'm thinking.
poverty rates change or the state thinks that they've changed, then they require us to go out for another base year so that the federal government picks up more of the cost than the state. So it's just this really clunky, delayed process that happens every year around this time.
Would it better be attractive to a new management company to be in a state where there's been that universal support?
Well, they did speak about, they're in Massachusetts, and Massachusetts also has universal meals, and they also have a pretty similar system where, and they did talk about their used to navigating that.
Okay. Good. That's comfortable.
Glad to hear.
So, does this company, because they bought them out, just automatically get the contract?
Yes.
They assume the contract?
If I just wanted to share a celebration for food service, if I can.
Celebration.
It's a
I
celebration.
guess it's allowed.
We pumped out, that's the only way I can, but we generated and served 53,000 meals via meal boxes this summer.
Wow.
Breakfast and lunch, we served meal boxes that were for multiple days, but the meals that were provided were 53,000 meals to our community members. So I just think that is, and it actually makes our program money. It makes our local food service management company money, and it also, provides meals, quality meals for a lot of people.
53,000 meals.
So I think that, and I really want to commend the Abbey Group, the Blue Sky Packaging, and I have to say Dawn Fournier in our office was, to eliminate waste. She was unpacking and packing boxes and running over there and going on site to help out and just staying on top of it. And honestly, the state was relying on her to problem solve most of the problems at the summer program.
Where were the pickup places?
This year we chose to have alternate times because we didn't want to discourage anyone from being able to come. So we had Highgate and Swanton.
These are no
And I'm sorry, we also had Sheldon. Yeah, Sheldon is a food shelf. They wanted to be a site this year as well, so we coordinated with them to allow them to be a site.
Thank you.
And those were no charge, right, to these families?
Yeah.
So 53,000 free meals to
Correct.
families to eat them. That's amazing.
That's great.
Definitely worth a cent.
Here's the kids at recreation.
Alright. Talking about free meals, I was getting hungry. Okay, next item,
Well,
check.
when she said she was gonna
I
celebrate.
know, I was like, you got
What
some
about
boxes
cake?
in here? Where's your cupcake? And I was like,
It's not that kind of celebration.
you know, like, look pretty nice, he goes, why don't you check on your chair?
Cupcakes.
Check warrants.
Okay, for the month of July, we had accounts payable in the amount of $1,355,638.93. Payroll checks, $29,944.02. Payroll other disbursements, $1,678,983.84. And payroll deductions of $1,280,252.81, for a total of $4,344,819.60.
Can I get a motion to approve the check warrants as read?
So moved.
Second? Second.
I'll second.
Tracy, sorry.
It is Tracy.
Okay, all in favor of approving the check warrants, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, alright, motion carries. Carries 9-0. New professional hires. It's your cue. Perfect. Julie, somebody?
I can do it.
Oh, no, it's fine. I don't think
You're gonna have to jump in at some point. So we have all of our vacancies are filled. We will have one more person to bring to the next board meeting because she's meeting with me tomorrow. And per our process, I wouldn't bring her to you until I've met with her. I fully expect to be happy with her because Tammy Hayes was so excited. And I have such regard for her judgment. But we are very excited about the fact that we have filled all of our vacancies, including some that we already filled and then the people disappeared or they took a job in Texas or those kinds of things. So even some of those unexpected, I took a job but I changed my mind, situations that are more and more common these days than they used to be, we have persevered through those. So the first is Adam Tugas, who will be teaching the art of food and other exploratory classes. He is an art educator, but will be teaching exploratories and what is the word I'm not thinking of for high school? Elective. That's the word. Thank you. We're excited about him joining us. We have Christopher Klassen, who will be teaching math at MVU. He is an experienced math teacher who has come back to this region. We have Kristen Todd, who will be a new preschool teacher. That was our last preschool opening that we weren't sure what our model would look like. We feel very lucky that Kristen is going to be in Highgate teaching that class of children. We have Gabrielle Luge. Can you say her last name?
No.
It's French. I studied Latin in school. Lejeune.
That was your job.
Gabrielle will be coming to Swanton to teach 5th grade. She was a very impressive young educator. And she's replacing Jasmine, who, if you recall, withdrew her contract to move out of state. Next, we have Brian Rainville. Brian will be doing a 1-year social studies position for us. And you may know that we have a social studies position that will have a leave for much of this year. And so we hired Brian for the year as a licensed social studies teacher. We're excited to have him pick up and support our students in those particular classes and programs, and he has good experience there. And then finally, we have John Verrier, who is a high school science teacher, and again at MVU. So some of those tricky MVU positions, we're very pleased with the quality of candidates that we have, even with some of the with the unknowns that occurred. We feel very lucky to have found good candidates for our students. So we'd love a motion to approve those contracts.
Preschool, wow.
I
Get a
know.
motion to approve that professional hires is read.
I'll make that.
Stephanie,
I'll second.
Megan, all in favor of approving the professional hires?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Thank you, Julie. It's always good to hear we are hiring and have filling all the vacancies. That is very good news. Okay.
have no vacancies.
Future agenda items, we have board and district goals review, we have committee review on there, superintendent evaluation, and then our strategic plan meeting with the administrators for September. Our next board meeting is August 26th in Swanton. Yeah. Thank you very much. Do we have
Motion, Peter?
Peter?
Peter, you're up.
Adjourn.
Do we have a
You
motion
gonna do
to
it or no?
adjourn?
Go for it, Peter.
I'm gonna move to
If
adjourn.
no one else is
He's
going,
gonna
no
wait
one
so
else is
long,
gonna
I'm
bring
gonna
anything
take
up.
it over. I'm moving to adjourn.
Okay, I will move to adjourn then.
Alright, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye.
Alright. adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
That's the 7th.